Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Faithfully Fit. So excited to have Grace Lochner with us. I think Grace and I got connected because I think she liked one of our previous podcast posts, and then I started digging and checked out her Instagram. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome! I have to absolutely talk to Grace. So, Grace, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
So Grace, do me a favor. Oh, certainly, certainly. So I want to introduce the world to Grace just a little bit. So Grace, you are a three-time AGOQ qualifier in the team division.
Yes.
You have qualified for the team division at Granite Games. You were a part of the elite team throwdown last year, and you are just off of a quarterfinals appearance, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Awesome. Well, hey, so tell me something then. I want to talk real quick. We'll get to the quarterfinals eventually, but I want to talk about your other competing experiences. I want to talk about the Granite Games and the Elite Team Throwdown. Let's start with the Granite Games.
Yeah.
I was actually there at that point too. I was on an intermediate team,
Okay.
and so I absolutely loved it. Tell me what you thought about the Granite Games.
I loved the Granite Games. That was like my first experience with competing at like a bigger competition that was like live. I had done all of the qualifiers, like all of them. I'd done all the online qualifiers, and then some local comps like here and there, but like that was my first like experience with like a big sanctional type, that's what they're called now, like sanctional type competition. And I thought it was really cool how they had the dedicated teen divisions, and it made like the teenagers feel really special. Like we were back in the warm up area, and like I'd be warming up, and all of a sudden like there was like Alex Smith and Cody Mooney warming up next to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. I was like 15, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. But yeah, it was a really cool experience, and it kind of like introduces you to all your competitors too in like a cool way.
I was really excited whenever I didn't have to warm up next to you guys because y'all were on a completely different schedule.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it, but being out there, if I had to warm up next to you guys in the teen ladies division, I would have left there absolutely demoralized. I got a chance to watch you guys a little bit. Y'all were so amazing.
Oh,
So.
thank you.
Certainly. So then now the elite team throwdown. Okay, so it was so last year everything is on its head. Everything is topsy turvy. And then they put this together, and it looked absolutely incredible. I was only able to see it from the outside looking in. It looked absolutely incredible. Tell me about that.
That experience was one of the coolest things, because at that point, like that whole year had been a mess. As everyone knows, like the last weekend before everything shut down was the AGOQ. And then I remember the day after that ended, like luckily for me, we made it through before our gym shut down. But the day after, like everything shut down, and then you're like, okay, like one, is the world literally ending right now? Like, am I ever going to compete in CrossFit again? Like, what's going on? And so then it's like, okay, well, then they announced that the games were canceled, and like for me, I hadn't qualified for the games, but it was still like sad to hear about everything like that. And then they invited at the pit, they invited the top teens that had qualified for the games to go compete at this like ranch. And so I was like, oh, that's like a really cool experience for them and whatever. And then 2 weeks beforehand, they announced, oh, hey, by the way, we're doing an online qualifier. The top two in each division will qualify. And so I texted my coach. I was like, okay, I have to do this one. Like, let's just do it, see how it goes, whatever. And so I ended up doing it with one of my really good friends, Mallory O'Brien. I'm sure everyone knows her name by now. She's amazing. But we ended up both doing it. We were like, okay, let's just do it. And we ended up taking the 2 spots. And so for me, first of all, before even getting there, like that was really cool to be able to like, when I started CrossFit when I was 14, whatever, my goal was to always qualify as a teenager for the games. And so like technically that didn't happen, but I liked it. My mom is like, you know what? We'll count it. Like it's close enough. So it right from there, like that was even cool, just like to know that like the work that I'd done from 14 to 17 did pay off in that amount of time. And then once we got there, it was just so cool because like at Granite Games, they had a dedicated teen division, which was cool. But at the same time, it's like no one like unless their family like goes to Granite Games to watch the teenage division. They're there to watch the elites. But here it was like this is a teenage competition, so it was really cool to feel like we are the main attraction there. And it was everything like I had spectated at the games multiple times and it was very similar to the games. I felt like same volume, same type of events. Like we got to do like a swim run as the first event in the lake, which was really cool, and then like a deadlift ladder. So like and then like indoor events with like barbell and whatever, and then there was sled pulls and paddle boarding. Like that's just so cool to be able to like do all of that. And yeah, it was just a really cool experience.
That's absolutely awesome. So now let me ask you. I mean, not talking about placing or anything. I haven't looked at that. How'd you feel like you did? Did you do well?
I feel like I did what I could at the time. I think I did well. I'm proud of my performance. Obviously, leaderboard aside, I wasn't super happy with the leaderboard, but I think there was a lot of personal victories within there that I was super proud of. Um, and coming off of a summer where I wasn't sure when the next time I'd be competing was. So I felt like my
Mhm.
prep for it wasn't as I usually would if I would have a few months to prepare, obviously. But I
Mhm.
feel like there was definitely some wins in there where I was like, okay, like I was proud of my performance, yes.
That's awesome, and I think that's what competing is all about. I mean, that's one of the things that is as I've kind of gone through this and gone through the moderately decent competition status, I guess. It's just yeah, it is like you put in so much work to get there that when you're there, it's just like hey, you know what? Hay's in the barn. I've done all the work. Like let's just have a good time. That's one of the deals I always enjoy about competition is just the relationships that you get to build with people and so the teen
Yeah.
relationships are so amazing to me because you guys all know each other. Like I'm talking about this and you and I were
Yeah.
kind of conversing and Alex is like, oh, how do you know Grace? I was like, well, I know her through the
Yeah.
internet. How do you know Grace? But it's funny that all of you guys, I guess because it's such a small community, y'all all are close and you know each other and you interact all the time.
Yeah, it's a cool thing because they're your competitors, obviously, but like it's also we know what we're all going through because it's not easy like what we do to like train and like eat the way we do and like like recover and just do everything that we do. So like even though we are competitors, it's a very small group of people that like get it. So it's nice to have that group where it's like oh, like I can, even though they're not here, like I can like FaceTime them or like Snapchat them or whatever, and we can just talk about like whatever, and we all just get the lifestyle, which is really cool.
Absolutely. Well, so talking about the lifestyle. So now you say you've been
Mhm.
doing CrossFit since you were 14. What does your daily routine look like now? I mean, with school, with multiple workouts, with food. I mean, walk me through a day in the life of Grace.
Okay, so I'm a senior in high school right now. We ever since sophomore year, I've done my school half virtually and half in person. I found that it's just better for me mentally and with my training and all that. But then this year with COVID, we've had the option to go virtual. So I started hybrid and then I kind of realized that virtual might just be better overall. So I'm fully virtual right now. I have and it's not too crazy of a workload, but it's still enough. And so I wake up on a normal school day at 4:30 in the morning,
Oh,
and
oh
then
goodness.
I yeah, it's yeah, I make sure to get to bed early. So I wake up at 4:30 and I try to prep everything the night before, so I have to do as little as possible in the morning, and it's all just ready. So then I go and I will drink like a pre-workout, whatever, and I'll head to the gym for my first session until my class at 7:55. And then Every other day, my classes I either have one class or classes in the morning. So that either goes to about 9:30 or about 11. And then I just do those at the gym. So I can just sit in the little office, or like I have my little corner with the table, and everyone at this point kind of knows like, oh, that's where Grace does her school. Whatever. So I do my classes there, and then immediately after I'm done with those classes at either 9:30 or 11, whatever day it is, I'll finish my training. And that usually takes me to about 3:30, 4, somewhere around that range. And then I'll come home and try to do homework if I can. A little tired. My mom will be like, "Hey, like I know you're tired. We gotta do some homework." So then I usually just like hang out like on a normal weekday. I'll just like do homework, get prepped for the next day, hang out with my parents. Both my siblings are in college, so if they're home, I'll hang out with them. But if they're not, I'll hang out with my parents. And then yeah, if I don't have training the next day, I try to see my friends if I can. I think it's super important to maintain those relationships and friendships. I know, like, because most of the days I don't really have time to hang out with friends, and I need to get to bed early and whatever. But I think it's super important to like maintain the relationships with the people that support you. And so like making time to like hang out with my friends if I can, like on a Saturday night or maybe a Friday night or like a Wednesday night, because Thursdays are active recovery. So if I can like make time for that, that's super important to me. So then Thursdays are active recovery, and then Sundays are just full rest.
Very
So that's
nice.
about it.
That's yeah. That's a full schedule. Oh my goodness. I thought I had a busy week. Um, but talk about that. Okay, so obviously with everything you got going, it requires a lot of focus, and I mean, getting up at 4:30 as a high school senior. Oh man, I never. I've got two kids and a full time job, and I don't get up at 4:30 in the morning. So we'll throw that out there. But I want to hit on something, and it was one of the really cool things. So in your Instagram bio, okay. And so for those of you that don't know Grace, do me a favor, check her out, gracelochner.cf at Instagram. And so on your Instagram bio, very first thing that I saw that absolutely jumped out to me was the Bible verse that you have, 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whether you either drink or whatever you do it all for the
Yeah.
glory of the Lord. Here's the deal. That jumped out because that's kind of the number one verse for Faithfully Fit. That in everything that we do, in our relationships, in our fitness, and in our faith, all of it is done for the glory of the Lord. Talk just a little bit to kind of how your faith plays into your daily life.
Yeah. So I mean, even just starting with that verse, I think that was my confirmation verse when I got confirmed at my church. So it's very important to me, and I think it's just a quick little thing to even remember, just whatever you do it for the glory of God, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in like, oh, I'm training to be a games athlete. I'm training to go to the games. I'm training to be the best athlete. Get these whatever your like desires are here. I think it's like that verse just kind of helps me stay like grounded and stay rooted in like, okay, why am I really doing this? And like what's really my like rock and like my support, and that would be God. And just like I can kind of lean back on that and know like, okay, like this is why I'm doing this. And even if I don't quite win in my standards, like if I'm in any way glorifying God or like using the gifts that He gave me, then I feel like I'm winning anyways. So I think that's it. That's just kind of plays into my whole like training, is like it kind of gives me a greater purpose for what I'm doing, but it also gives me a sense of peace because I'm like, I know where my worth is and I know where that comes from for me. So like when I'm training and or competing and I don't hit the goal that I want, or something doesn't go right, I'm like, okay, well, my worth isn't found in a number on the leaderboard in a competition I did when I'm 17 years old. So, or however old, hopefully I can like keep this up for however long I'm competing, but that kind of just plays into my training. And then with my life too, it's like the decisions you make like are a direct reflection of your beliefs. And so I think that it's kind of just my faith. If I let that determine how I live, I'll be on a pretty good track with where I want to be and who I want to be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, there's not even a need for me to add anything to it. So that's the pastor in me wants to just keep talking. But you did such a good job. We're just going to keep rolling. Um,
Thank
and
you.
that's so awesome. But here's what I did really like. I liked what you said about that you know where your worth is. I think because especially now
Mhm.
we run into these issues where we're searching for our worth. We're searching for what makes us who we are, and if it's CrossFit and CrossFit all of a sudden starts going poorly for us, maybe we get hurt, maybe COVID happens and we don't get to compete anymore, and that now we're a little bit lost. And so I really like that's really awesome. That's really awesome. So now, so you were talking a little bit ago about your nutrition and all of the things that go into that. So you are an M2 athlete, right? So now, with M2 just a little bit,
Yes.
tell me what M2 looks like for you and how that plays into your daily life.
Yeah, so I've worked with M2 for a few years now. Um, and I work with Mike Malloy directly. So we do like monthly check-ins where he's just like he'll just text me and he's like, "Hey, how are you? What's up? Like what's going on?" And I can just kind of give him the rundown how I'm feeling. Whether it has to do with nutrition or not, he's great. Um they're very M2 is very just focused on the big picture, so and how everything goes together. So obviously the main focus is nutrition, but how is your sleep? How's your mental health? How's your training feeling? How are your relationships? So those conversations are great. I can always reach out if I need to. But yeah, so macros wise, I've done that for a few years now. Um, and honestly, now it's pretty easy. I'm pretty used to it. Um, Basically, I eat the same foods every day, so it's not too hard. Um, and so yeah, I eat a
Yeah.
lot.
So are you willing to tell me what your macros are?
Yeah, so right now, I don't know the exact calories, but I eat about 65 grams of fat, 65, 69,
Uh-huh.
somewhere around there. 149 protein and about
Oh,
330
that's
carb.
awesome.
And we're working on increasing the carb. We're kind of like figuring that all out right now, but right now I'm back on the way up, and yeah, so that's currently what they're at. And it's funny too because the whole joke in like houses that have teenagers is like, oh, like I have a growing son. Like we have a lot of food in this house, or like I have 3 kids in this house. And for us, it's like both my siblings are gone. My brother's gone. It's just me. So it's like, oh, I have a 17-year-old teenage daughter, so I got to go to the grocery store multiple times a week. Like
That's right. That's right.
I took my over the brothers role.
That's really cool. And so now I want to transition to something coming right out of that. I want to transition into something that you put up a post a while back on Instagram, that you actually and so for those of you
Mhm.
that maybe are new to Faithfully Fit, part of the platform of Faithfully Fit is about mental health. I struggle with anxiety and depression. I was diagnosed with it several years ago. Had actually gotten to a point where I thought that the best option was to try and end my life, and God used that, and in that moment actually really developed a lot of the principles that I build Faithfully Fit on. It's why I reach out and it's why I build relationships. Grace has a pretty interesting story here herself. So Grace, now how old were you when it was anorexia, correct?
Yes.
Now how old were you when they officially kind of put that name to it?
Yeah, so I was 11, which is crazy to think about now. That just sounds like a little baby, and it is. It's so young. It's so sad that that's what a lot of people are dealing with, and like that it's affecting people that young. But yeah, so I was 11. I don't honestly know where it rooted from, but I just remember it was kind of a slow progression. And then it got to the point where we went and it was diagnosed,
Yeah.
and yeah,
So going from the point where it was diagnosed to and let's not even say to where you are right now. Let's cover up until, because obviously there was about 3 years until you started CrossFit. What was the progression of trying to recover from that and get
right.
to a point where I don't want to make any assumptions, so please tell me where eating felt more the norm than not.
Right. So it was a long process for sure. And it took a lot of work with, so I've worked with like therapists and nutritionists and everything, and I definitely recommend it. It's scary at first, but I definitely, if anyone's struggling with it, it's worth it. And yeah, it took a while because growing up, I played all the sports, all the regular high school sports, basketball, soccer, volleyball, whatever. And so at the time, I was in basketball and soccer. And it got to the point where I almost had to quit soccer because it was just too much. And then it was like, okay, so I either have to quit the sports that I love or choose to recover. So I was like, you know what? I want to keep playing my sports. I want to be able to do what I want to do. So chose recovery, and um, it was it's interesting because when going through the recovery process, people think like, oh, like once you get to that like weight restored, once your weight restored, like, oh, you're good and whatever. But that, I feel like that comes first, and then there's the whole mental side of it and all that stuff. So I couldn't even say how long it took till eating felt normal, because even now what I do isn't normal. Most people don't track their macros for performance, but it's definitely a lot better now, and as good as it can be right now. As good as it has been. And yeah, I mean, it kind of has just been a process since then. From now, it's not just like, I feel like there wasn't like a day or a time when I was like, oh, like now it feels normal. But it's kind of just over time, you slowly start to realize, like, hey, I'm doing better. And like this stuff feels more normal, and I'm not afraid to eat this anymore, or to go out and like have ice cream with my friends, or like whatever. Like if I have a day where I accidentally go way over my carbs, like it's okay, I'll just lift heavier tomorrow. Like you just kind of start noticing those mindset changes over time, and then you're like, all right, like I think I'm doing pretty good now.
That's awesome. Well, and so it's pretty cool to see going from where you were being diagnosed with anorexia to now. I mean, quite frankly, I'm going to throw this out. I was interested in your numbers because your numbers are actually higher than my numbers, and so now you you work out about 4 times longer than I do a day, and so like you need those. You're a growing teenager. If I mean honestly, I'm a 37-year-old man. Like if I ate like that, I mean I wouldn't be able to fit on the screen right now, and so but I think it's really cool that to go. So in talking to Mike, I mean, obviously, I'm sure that was a part of you initially talking to him and getting with him too. I know I've been through stuff with him too, and so I know that there's a lot of background talk. What was the discussion like with Mike as you were kind of having that?
Yeah. So when I first started with M2, um, they send you like a little survey and ask all like a large array of questions, like what are your goals, like what about this? And then once I like applied for M2, Mike reached out to me directly, and basically we went through this whole thing of, he was like, I want to make sure that you are mentally good to go with this, because I don't want to be giving you macros if you're not mentally prepared or ready for that yet, to be tracking your macros or tracking your calories or whatever. So he was very, very understanding and cautious with like the route we took. And he made it very clear that like, hey, if you're having any like feelings of like past thoughts or like anxieties surrounding food, like you message me and we'll talk about it. So it's definitely not like, here are your macros, good luck. Like he's very hands-on and very they work with a lot of teenagers, and I think it's cool to see like they truly care about your relationship with food, not just how you're training or like if you're training well, because the reality is you could be training super hard or even like performing at your best, but if your mental health is down the drain, it's your training's gonna follow very soon. So they're very aware of that, and I'm very appreciative of Mike too. Over the years, he's helped me a lot with that kind of stuff.
That's absolutely awesome. So, all right, now going from one group you're involved with to another. So, tell me, you are a brute strength athlete, right?
Mhm.
So, with brute strength, I mean, what is it like? Do you have a one-on-one coach? Is it a larger group program? Like how does that work for you?
Yeah, so when I started with Brute, I just jumped on the games prep program. And I did that for about a year. And then when I went to Granite Games is where I met all
Oh
the
wow.
group coaches. And well, I met some of them. I went to the camp in Austin, Texas. I went to the Brute Strength camp in Austin, Texas in 2018. So I met them there. But then when I went to Granite Games, there was like a little brute corner in the warm up area where everyone would just kind of sit and talk and whatever. So throughout that whole weekend, Coach L from Brute, kind of helped me out and kind of, because I didn't have like a actual coach. So I kind of walked in there like all like old small teenager, like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I don't have a coach back here, whatever. So he kind of like, he came and sat and watched all my workouts and coached me through and helped me and kind of taught me the ropes. So then, and one-on-one coaching is a little more expensive. So my parents were like, is it really necessary? And I was telling Elle that. He's like, let me talk to them. And by the end of the weekend, Elle was my one-on-one coach. So I've been with him since Granite Games. So I work with him one on one. But I have access to like all the coaches. So like I work with Matt Bruce on my weightlifting a lot, and Lauren Tate. She's like, she coached me at the pit. She's amazing, and she's like, she helps me with all mental stuff. It's really cool. But yeah. So Elle's
Yeah,
my
that's
coach
awesome.
right now.
Here, funny thing. Okay, I know Lauren. I got to know Lauren when I competed at the Masters Fitness Collective Championship. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I got to know
Okay.
her really
Yeah.
well. So that's really funny that there's that connection. But I really like how you and Coach L built that relationship over at Granite Games. That Coach, he saw you, poured into you before you guys were even coaching. I'm sorry, I say Coach
Yeah.
L. Is Coach L he or she?
He.
Okay, I'm saying he. I don't want to mess up, but it's so cool. It's so cool that you guys built that relationship first, and that's where this foundation comes from. I think that's why there's a lot of you see a lot of coach hopping with athletes,
Mhm.
and I'm not talking even to top athletes. I mean, that's a dynamic I don't even understand. But when we're talking about just in general and program hopping and coach hopping that so often
Yeah,
that we don't do a great job of developing that base of relationship because that's where I mean
right.
relationship is where everything starts for us and so that I think that's an
Yeah.
awesome story about that.
Yeah,
So
I'm
all
appreciative of that we got to work together a little bit before just like, all right, yeah, you're my coach.
right. Yeah, totally. Okay, so I want to be respectful of your time. So I could sit here. This is awesome. And by the way, I could sit here and talk to you all day. I mean, this is really cool.
Thank you.
And so we're gonna have at some point in the future we're gonna have the Grace Lochner series. So I'm throwing
The
I'm having
yeah.
ideas. So, but I want to talk about quarterfinals. I want to wrap up quarterfinals.
Mhm.
First time that quarterfinals has ever happened. Really cool. Get a chance to have so many people involved. And you okay? So you finished this year 1357th in the world, which is amazing, by the way. In North
Thank
America,
you.
you finished 755th, which once again, absolutely incredible for a high
Five.
school senior. Yeah, what? No, in
Oh,
the
thank
open.
you.
In the open. Yeah, yeah. In the
Oh,
open, you were
yeah,
seven.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay,
so
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that absolutely blows my mind. All right. So in the quarterfinals, in the
Thank
quarterfinals,
you.
you jump another 200 spots and finish 555th. That's I mean it's amazing. And so do me a favor,
Thank
walk me through the workouts really
you.
quick. So workout one, how was workout one for you?
Okay. Workout one was a good test for me. I've struggled with strict handstand push-ups in the past. Um, Dubs are fine, dumbbell movements are fine, but strict handstand push-ups, I was never a gymnast in the past. I have no gymnastics background, so I kind of came into CrossFit with zero skills whatsoever. Couldn't really do toes to bar. My first open workout, I did singles on toes to bar. So just those have made a lot of progress, which was cool to see. I feel like I broke those up well. Um, Dubs, I think I tripped once, but otherwise it went pretty good. It was a big shoulder burner for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You and me, we sound very similar in the sense that I hate strict handstand push-ups. Hate them. They should be banned from everything.
I mean,
Love
it does
dumbbell
largely
movements, love
depend on
jump rope.
your sorry, what?
Oh no 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 oh no, you're good. No, please say what you're gonna say. It largely depends on your what.
I was just gonna say, like, your body type too. I think the more I'm in the sport, the more I realize how much it definitely plays in. Like, I have some long arms, so it doesn't make them super fun, but getting there.
I
Not
don't.
terrible.
Well, here's the deal: is I don't have long arms, but I've got this thick little torso that just never wants to go up. So totally. No, I got you. What? No, and so event two. How did event two go for you?
Oh, okay. I was trying to remember what event two was. Okay, so
No,
event
this is the
two.
GH. That's the GHDs, the rope climbs and pistols.
Yeah, I think today's the first day I'm not sore. My core. I
Yeah.
that one was interesting because I was really excited for that one. I love chippers. I love that kind of stuff. And we had done the combination of GHD rope climb and pistols more times than I can count leading up to quarterfinals. And I was very comfortable with the combination. Um but I had not done that combination starting with a chunk of 60 GHD sit-ups.
Oh gosh.
So
Yes.
when that came and I started that workout, I knew I'm pretty good at knowing my body and not starting out so hot, but the environment was fun. I wanted to go hard, whatever. And no matter if you go out hot on GHD sit-ups or you take your time, you get to 60 of them and it's hard. So then I got to the rope climbs, which usually I'm like, awesome, sick rope climbs. Like, I'm tall, like, these are great. 2 pulls, up, touch it, done. And I jump up and I was like, I can't lift my knees up. My core is like my hips and my core were just not having it at all. And then I felt like the pistols were kind of like a little break. So I felt like those were great. And then just make your way through the GHD sit-ups and the rope climbs and try to go as fast as you can without falling off the rope 15 feet high.
Yeah. Yeah, the combination of GHDs and rope climbs is the most evil combination that you can actually put together.
Yeah, I was like, GHD sit-ups have never been, I'm usually like, oh, that's the rest in a workout. But I was like grunting on the way up. I was like, I'm not going to make my way up. This is rough.
Oh, well, and you did amazing in that workout. I mean,
Oh,
you
thank
took
you.
435th in North America. That's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah.
Man, and so I had a couple of buddies. So I decided to forego the quarterfinals for the AGOQ. I really want to put a lot into the AGOQ, and
Yeah.
so I just watched a couple of my friends do that workout. I was so glad that I wasn't doing that workout. I could only imagine the soreness.
Yeah, it was okay, so we did that workout the first day. So we just did the workouts in order. I went to
Mhm,
Iowa um
mhm,
to complete the workouts with Mallory O'Brien and James Townsend. Mal's like my best friend.
mhm.
So I did the quarterfinals with her at her gym. And so we just trained through the weekend, which I don't really know if that was a super smart decision. I don't think it affected me too much, honestly. But so we did them in order. So we did the first two on the first day. And then the second day, after we did events 3 and 4, we did another workout that had dumbbell snatches and toes to bar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the combination between toes to bar and GHT sit-ups is what really just kind of left me dead for a few days, my core.
What wait, are you telling me that in the middle of the quarterfinals, you guys threw another workout in there?
Oh yeah, we actually did a lot of extra training. We got a good
Oh my
pump
goodness.
session. We got yeah.
Well, okay. The quarterfinals would have left me in a hospital bed in the first place. Then to do extra stuff on top of it, oh, my 37-year-old body would have just been sprawled out on the floor. You would have come and got me the next morning.
It was honestly a lot of like we're there together. We don't get to see each other too often, and we both do a lot of volume of training. So the intensity was super high, but volume wise, I was like fine. And Mal is still competing in the AGOQ this year, so they were still really focused on that training wise. And I was like, well, okay, if you're gonna train, then I'm not just gonna sit here and watch you. So I guess I'm jumping in too. And so it was fun. It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so obviously you've done the AGOQ for 3 years.
Mhm.
How did you like having it broken up where you had to submit a couple of scores at a time or not?
I did like it actually
Mhm.
because I'm one who I think I've redone every open workout ever. And so I overthink my score a ton. I like I like leaderboard. I'm like, oh well, like it's not good. I don't recommend this. People don't do this. But I'm like, oh, like they're like, oh, scores are coming in. Like I think I should redo it. But this was I liked that you could kind of play around with what order you wanted to do them in if you wanted. We just did them in order, but um you really there wasn't too much overthinking involved. It's just do it to the best of your ability once, submit your score, move on to the next, which I really liked.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so now we're gonna come back to event three. Okay, we're gonna finish the discussion of the weekend on event three. All
Okay.
right, event three was I'm not gonna spoil it, but anyway. So event four, so the 4 rep max front
Yeah.
squat. So you did 197. Were you happy with that, or did you have any expectations going in?
I was super that event was great for me. That went as well as it could. I ironically strength is my weakness. So I have struggled a lot in the past, like just trying to get stronger. Um, and as a teenager, like it's frustrating because all of a sudden all these teenagers are so strong, which is like awesome for them. But I'm like, what the heck? But so it's like I need to get stronger, but I also know patience because still 17, I have time. It's okay. But that one went really good because um we just lined up the racks. We had really our favorite music playing. We were just attempting and watching each other cheering on. So the environment was great. And going into that event, my 1 rep max front squat was 200.
Mhm.
So I was like texting L and he was like, I want you to hit 90%. So I was like, okay, like 185. Like that's a good number. I'll probably maybe hit around that, but I like went in nervous and then we warmed up and I think I hit like 182, like easy. So I was like, all right, we're just gonna jump to 197 like right away. And so I hit that, and then I jumped up to 203, and then I hit that for 1 rep, and then failed. And then I went for it again, and I hit it again for 1 rep. So I guess I PR'd my front squat, but yeah, 197. I was really happy with that.
Well, and that's incredible to 3 pounds under your previous 1 rep PR you did for 4 reps. That's amazing.
Thank
Wow.
you.
I love competing. Like those types of things happen in competitions. That's why that's the addicting part of competition.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts is like all of a sudden you're like, "Oh my gosh, I just lifted my whatever percentage for how many reps. That's awesome." I don't know if I would
Oh
have been
yeah.
able to do that on my own.
Oh yeah. Okay, so tell me, what did you think of workout five, the snatches and burpee box jump overs?
So, this one when it was released, not going to lie, it kind of stressed me out at first. for multiple reasons. One, I hate snatches. Two, I've struggled with them for so long. Mentally, I've had a block with them for so long. Like, I haven't PR'd in forever, so I was like, oh, like, heavy. And my 1 rep max snatch going in was 130. So I was like, all right, we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this. We'll save it for the last day. Don't be worried about it now. We've got 4 other events, but also the box jump over, the burpee box jump overs were at 30 for the women, 30 inches as well, which is pretty high. I did play basketball, but so people think, oh, like you can jump high. I can't, like, at all. Like it's so that was a little stressful. I've busted both my shins to the point where summer of 2019, I was leaving for my mission trip actually in July, and we were leaving in the morning. We were driving to Minnesota for our mission trip, and before we left, I was training in my basement. I wanted to get one last training session in before I left. It was like 5 a.m. and I was doing a workout with 30-inch box jumps, and I completely ate it on the box, scraped my shin, and it hurt like really bad, but like I didn't really want to look at it because I was like, like it might gross me out. And then so I like sat, I waited until it like didn't really hurt anymore, and then I just like kept training because I was like, okay, well, I need to finish training. And then I went upstairs when I was done to my parents, and they were like, oh my gosh, like you can see your shin, like your leg is open right now, like what is going on? So
oh my gosh,
it was a lot worse than I thought. And then I looked down and it was really bad. So we went to the ER, and I ended up having to get 16 stitches in my shin that morning. And then so I'm in the ER. My mom is like frantically grabbing my suitcase and like all my stuff I was bringing on the mission trip. And so she drove it to the church. We're at the ER, and we were supposed to leave at like 10:30. It's like 10:15. I'm still at the ER. We leave. We went to the church. They literally were like, here, you can have the seat with all the leg room. Put me in there, close the door, and I was off to Minnesota with some stitches in my leg and a limp for about a week. But basically, moral of the story is those stress me out now. So like, ever since then, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna need stitches again. Like, I'm gonna whatever. So even if when that came out, I was like, oh gosh, these are 2 movements that are stressing me out. But then I talked to Lauren again. I texted her about like everything, and I texted her and was like, hey, so event 5. And she already knew. She was like, yep, I know exactly what you're thinking. And she was like, this workout is technically a 963, but you're not allowed to think of it that way. You have your first Oli comp on Sunday or on Saturday. And I was like, okay, cool, 7-minute AMRAP, 1 rep max snatches. Like, let's see how this goes. So I wore my lifters for the event, and I grabbed my nanos. I like set them by the box, and I was like, hey, Mal, these are for when I get to the box jump overs. And I was like kidding because I'm like, I'm not going to whatever. And then I get into the workout, and I ended up hitting 135 9 times. And so for me, I was like, and then I look at the clock and there's 30 seconds left, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I like run and I like change out my lifters, I put my nanos on, and I get however many burpee box jump overs I could in the time remaining. And so even though that was like, that workout bumped me down the leaderboard, I was like, all right, I can't be too mad. I did just hit a PR snatch 9 times, so I can't be too mad at it.
9
So
times.
9 times, I was like, all right. So breaking through that little mental barrier too with snatches was really cool for me. So leaderboard wise, I was like, I'm not even gonna be negative about that leaderboard placing because I know I did what I could.
Yeah, no reason to. Absolutely. So, okay. So, but we go from that. Now we go to a leaderboard that is not negative whatsoever. So workout 3, we come back to it. Workout 3, you finished in 11:11 and took 167th in North America. That's incredible.
Thank you.
So you like that one a little bit, huh?
Yes, wall balls are my favorite movement. I love wall balls so much. And for like, there was like a period of time where we only did them at 20 pounds or to like a higher thing. So like 14 now is like 14 to a 9 foot. I'm like, let's go. Feels good. Rowing feels really good. I'm not even that tall. I'm 5'6", but I think in CrossFit, that's really tall for some
Yep.
reason.
Yep. You're a
So
giant. Congratulations.
yeah, I'm so tall, but yeah, so the wall balls felt really good, and then the row, like Elle told me a pace to start with, and I got on the rower and I was about 100 cals per hour higher than that. So I was like, all right, I dug myself a hole. I gotta lay in it now. I can't slow down now. So just keep going. And yeah, that one was gross, but that was super fun. I love rowing and wall balls together. I think it's a gross combination of, but it's also like you're not gonna fail a rowing calorie, so it's really just like grit your teeth, try to zone out and get through it kind of thing, which I love those types of things.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, so finishing 555th in North America, absolutely incredible. I mean, well done. And so now this is your first full year in the open division, right? Like you are not in the AGOQ anymore.
No, I have one of the weird birthdays, so I'm still 17 until late June, but
But
I'm too old according to CrossFit.
golly.
I'm
Well,
old.
but that's, I mean, I certainly, I mean, going through all that, I mean, hitting a PR 9 times and basically doing your 4 rep as many times or at the same weight that you do your one. I mean, that's absolutely awesome and tons of growth coming. I'm so excited to watch you. So tell
Thank
me,
you.
what is next CrossFit wise for Grace?
CrossFit wise, only up from here. That's what's next, and I plan to keep competing and compete at the highest level I can.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that God gave me the gifts that He did, and even though I feel like right now I'm not quite where I want to be, I know that like trusting in His plan for me, and like just because my plan, the plan that He has for me is not the same as the plan that He has for some of the other teenagers right now, that doesn't mean that it won't come soon or I won't see the benefits soon. So CrossFit wise, goal is compete at the games as soon as I can, but be patient on the way there and know that it's like a long road. Yeah, that's CrossFit wise. And try to balance that with right now in the fall, my plan is to attend University of Tennessee.
Oh,
Um,
very nice.
so they have a great gym there, Rocky Top CrossFit. So that'll be my new little home.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I'll be managing training and school, but nothing
Yeah.
new.
Oh man, so going to University of Tennessee, that's awesome. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
that's
Thank you. I'm excited.
that's really cool. Really cool. So, well, so now any competitions or qualifiers you're eyeing coming up?
Well, I did get an invite back to the pit, the Elite Teen
Oh,
Throwdown.
very nice.
Um, so I'm very excited for that. That'll be the first weekend of September.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, it's kind of hard to say right now. I feel like we're kind of in the dark about the semis right now. I don't really know what's going on with those yet, but I'm still considered a teenager for a lot of those because those runs 16 to 18.
Oh,
So the plan was West Coast Classic.
uh-huh.
I had a spot for that in 2020, and then it got canceled, and then now they revealed that it's virtual this year. So I don't really know if I want to do that, but hopefully Granite Games still has a teenage division. That would be my first choice. And then really any semi that has a teenage division, I'll be keeping an eye out for. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I don't really know what the plan is for those yet. Hopefully we get some more information within the next few weeks, but any opportunity I can take to compete, I'd love to take. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, all right, Grace, I'm
thank
going to
you.
wrap us up, and then but hang on the line. I want to chat with you for just a second afterwards. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining me and Grace. Grace, I've had such an awesome time talking to you. It's been absolutely wonderful. Hey, if you want to know a little bit more about Faithfully Fit, about who I am, about why I do this, go to faithfullyfitcf.com. I appreciate you guys just even looking, even listening, sharing the word. Remember, when it comes down to it, life is all about relationships. So make sure that you're reaching out to people. Make sure that you're digging into people's lives. And if you need help, reach out. If you see somebody else needing help, reach out to them. But guys, thank you so much for joining us.